Hello and welcome to Trojan Talk. I'm your host, Aaron Taylor. With me today is Austin Deal, here to talk about TroyStar, okay, Chinese language camp taking place here at Troy University. Austin, thanks for joining me here today.
Thanks for the opportunity.
So tell me a little bit about the camp, a little more detail about the camp and why this is something that the university puts on every year.
Sure. So the reason we're focusing on the Chinese language is because it's considered a critical needs language. I'm sure you understand the relationship we have with China, both politically and economically. There's a huge need for Chinese speakers in the U.S. And so the purpose of TroyStar is to kind of produce more Chinese speakers in the U.S. and Chinese learners. And so what we do is we have this 2-week-long program where they come and they live on campus in a dorm, and through traditional learning methods like sitting in a classroom, in addition to the cultural aspects like learning the dance and various things like that, they kind of are immersed for 2 weeks in the Chinese language, and then they leave the university just leaps and bounds ahead of like the state they were in when they came.
And of course, and we talk about there's two different levels of the camp, because there's students that come here, and then there's teachers who are students as well, but they're learning to teach. First, I want to focus on the student level of this, because these are high school students, right? Maybe they're middle school, high school, I don't know the age, but I know they're in that range. But they're here with little to no experience, but then again, some of them are repeat campers, so they're getting more and more experience with the language, right?
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. Yeah, so the students are broken up into, and they are high school students,
Okay.
They're broken up into beginners class and then an advanced class, and so during the whole course of the thing, they're kind of separated on that level. And then we have teachers, like you mentioned, so it's not only just for people that are learning Chinese to come. We have 12 spots open for teachers of the Mandarin Chinese language to come and to learn how to better teach the language. So while we are teaching students Chinese, we're also teaching teachers how to better teach students Chinese. So it's kind of covers all angles.
And that's one of the things I've always felt fascinating about this camp, is that bringing Chinese language speakers in to learn to teach Chinese. But I've always been told the equivalent is like, well, not every English speaker knows how to teach English to English speakers.
Right,
so,
yeah.
so there is some special nuances that have to be taught to these teachers, right?
Absolutely, yeah. And that's where Dr. Feng, the program director, and Dr. Ira Shu come in. They are teachers. I believe that what they teach here at the university through the College of Education is the second language acquisition. That's sort of their expertise. And so they design the curriculum around teaching the teachers how to better teach a second language, because that's what they do here at the university in their master's program.
And it seems really complicated, but obviously something that's definitely needed for those individuals to try to teach that language. But let's get to the fun part of this, because you mentioned there briefly, it's not just learning language in the classroom, especially for the student level. There's a lot of fun activities that is immersed and immerses them in the Chinese culture throughout the week.
Yes, and that's an important part of this program. If it was just sitting in a classroom, learning vocab cards all day, they're high school age students. They're going to get extremely bored, and it's not going to be really effective. So what we do is we use things like the dragon dance and the lion dance and the fan dance and Tai Chi. We use these sort of activities to keep their attention still focused on Chinese language, but it's extremely fun, and they do it throughout the day. They spend maybe 5 hours in the classroom and then 2 to 3 hours doing these cultural activities in the daytime, and it keeps them focused. And also, you can get frustrated if you're at a camp for 2 weeks doing just a bunch of academic stuff. You start to get kind of burned out. So it really prevents that. And we use the language as we're teaching them these dances and whatnot, so it's still a very educational, we're wasting no time. At all points they're learning Chinese.
It's all Chinese all the time while they're here for 2 weeks. And so we talk about those activities though, but what ends up happening, and it's always a fun event, I've seen it numerous times, is the closing ceremony, where the students get to use not only Chinese language, but they get to use a lot of these skills, the Tai Chi and the Dragon Lion dance, all that they do, to show off to the family and friends at the end of it. It's usually a big extravaganza show, and it's a great opportunity to show it off, right?
Yeah, that's right. July 10th is like our climax. Everything kind of builds up to that moment, and the parents come and they see their kids, sort of the fruit of the 2 weeks is they're at the closing ceremony where they perform, and they're hosting in Chinese and they're speaking Chinese, and it kind of just kind of gives evidence to the parents and to the university and everyone watching that this is really an effective program.
And of course, seeing 2 high school kids be the host of a show and speak in Chinese, and I don't know Chinese, but I've seen it, and it's impressive to me that public speaking is hard enough at that age, but then to do it in a language that they're not familiar with is another amazing factor there.
Yeah, and some of the hosts actually come and they're in the beginners level, and so, but they're just such quick learners that they get chosen to be the host. So it's quite fascinating.
Truly amazing. Now, if anyone wants to take part in this year's camp, what can they do to sign up for it?
So go to troy.edu/TroyStar. You can see all the application materials on there. And if you have any questions, just email us at troystar@troy.edu. And we'll answer anything you have.
All right. Well, here's hoping folks take advantage of this summer's camp and participate and learn a little bit of Chinese language and culture here on campus. Austin, thanks for joining me today.
Thanks, Aaron.
And thank you for joining us on today's edition of Trojan Talk.